This whole Senegalese football thing is a joke. It's a joke, and you know it's to the point where it's an embarrassment for African football. It really is. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Obviously, let me just dive into this article before dropping my opinion. But as it stands, as we know now, 2 months ago, this is how silly it is. That long ago, Senegal defeated Morocco 1-0 after extra time in the final of the African Nations Cup, as it were. Okay? Now, it seems CAF, the Confederation of African Football, has decided to strip Senegal of the African Cup of Nations title. How many months later? Make it make sense, okay? And this is simply as a consequence of Senegal walking off the pitch after Morocco rewarded a controversial penalty in normal time. Game went extra time, as we know. And yeah, extra time. Morocco missed the penalty, as we know. And yeah, basically Senegal won the game, yeah. But now they're saying as a consequence of the Senegalese team leaving the pitch, as it states here, if a team refuses to play or leaves the ground before the regular end of the match without the authorization of the referee, it should be considered loser and should be eliminated for the good of the current competition. That's ambiguous in itself, okay? As we know, okay? So ultimately, you know, as it stands now, the CAF have looked into this so many months later, allegedly on the request of the Moroccan team that lost, and stated that the AFCON winners, Senegal, will be punished based on that, and they've awarded Morocco with a 3-0 win somehow, some way, okay? Now, as we know, Senegal have decided to appeal this verdict and have gone so far as to move the trophy to one of their army barracks, as I know. Crazy, insane. I know I'm a little bit late on this, but this whole thing is corrupt, it stinks, and it stinks of racism as well. They just can't give a dark-skinned black nation a trophy. They can't do it. I have to hate. They can't give us our due. What's up with that? They don't like us winning. They don't like us winning. They don't like us winning. Okay? And the whole thing makes African football look bad. You know? It makes them look amateur. So think about it. Going forward, when big teams want to release, well, when the African Nations comes up again, and big teams are saying, yeah, you know, do we have to let these players go? Do we have to release these players? They'll think twice. You watch. When some of these like top Senegalese players, yeah, like imagine Asane when he played for Liverpool, yeah, what an important player he was. Imagine that being now. Klopp was not manager now, but he'd be saying, nope, Mane, you're injured. So you're injured. He'll make sure that players aren't going. Because ultimately, they're the ones who pay the players' wages. And they need vital players. They're not letting players go to the African Nations Cup again, based on this amateur business. Yes, they walked off the pitch. But the game resumed. The referee resumed the game onwards, and they won the game. So how can it be that 2 months later, in Senate office, based on an appeal, the game's been turned over? That don't make sense. You know? It don't make sense. You know? Yes, there have been some decisions made after a game, you know, where there have been forfeits and things like points deducted later on and teams being relegated and things like that. But this is different. This is different. You know? This is different. You know? I understand match fixing's one thing. I get that. And, there's been counter arguments here. There's one big argument. People said, if that's the case, then give England the World Cup based on Maradona's handball back in 1986. But arguably, I can counter that and say that wasn't a final. Okay? But, let me hit some of the comments here, yeah? Some of the good comments that I came across, yeah? When I was looking at this, yeah? It's a matter of which rule supersedes the other. I stand with Law 5. The referee's decision is final. Yeah, he resumed the game. See, that's ambiguous. Why did Morocco continue playing when Senegal rejoined the field? If Morocco had then scored and won in extra time, then Morocco would have considered it a great victory. Morocco only went to court because they lost. Pathetic. Exactly. Senegal should have been warned as soon as they left the pitch that they will forfeit the match. It's ridiculous to strip them 2 months later. Agree with that again. Another good one. In the 70s, the entire Moroccan team with its officials left the field against Guinea, but still have that trophy. Why? Exactly. That's a good point. That's a good one. Morocco becomes the first team in history of football to win the trophy in court and have no celebration photos. Well, there you go. And let me just give one more to wrap this up, Why did the CAF officials not instruct the referee to end the match then and there? They could not and cannot, because Law 5 laws of the game applied by all confederations, including CAF competitions, states that the referee has full authority to enforce the laws of the game in connection with the match to which he has been appointed, and the decisions on the facts connected to the field of play are final. There you go. So you continued the game went on, they lost, end of. But we'll see how this turns out anyway. I'll have my eye on this one. But yeah, they just don't like giving proper African nations their due. And I'll say this, that Senegal team was on the rise, because when they played England off the park. They totally washed England that game only a few months ago, and that performance there will transition in a big game. Trust me. So keep your eye on Senegal for the future. All right then, out.